Now, after 2 years of working from home, 2022 signaled the migration back to the office for homebound workers. And it was an adjustment for many who found that they preferred working from their own residence, while others looked forward to having their workspace back and separate from their home lives. Can 2023 be the year where businesses' objectives align with the evolving needs of employees? And what does this mean for the commercial property sector? The list of questions goes on, and to try and answer some of them, we're joined virtually by Adrian Davidson. He's the EMEA head of design at Tetris Design and Build. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and a happy new year to you. But already people have got, especially people in business, have got their heads very, very busy trying to think about what the year holds for them. Because every year since the start of the COVID pandemic has brought up all kinds of surprises, and businesses have had to show how agile they really are, and if they really do care about their employees and not just the other way around. Let's start with the commercial property sector. We do know, for instance, we're broadcasting from here in Johannesburg, a stone's throw away from Sandton, which, according to people like yourself, who'll be able to tell you that the commercial property in a space like that is of a very, very high value. And we did see a huge impact on those big, shiny office buildings in Sandton as a result of the work from home movement. There's been apparently a bit of an improvement on it in the last year or so. Where do you see that space heading into as we head into 2023?
So I think what's going to happen is 2022, as you rightly said, we saw the gradual moving back into the office. I think we saw some of the smaller firms heading back in a little earlier than the larger corporates. And what 2023 certainly bodes for us is that flexible work, or hybrid work as everybody's calling it, is definitely here to stay. But I do think what is happening is there's certainly, let's call it a bit of productivity paranoia, which is coming from management. Concern, I think, which comes from trust, because trust comes from, you build trust in an organization through physical contact, informal interaction, those social bonds. So there's a bit of a breakdown in trust, and you've seen sort of this these headlines which are going on not just in South Africa but globally, with Twitter and Apple pushing staff back into the office. And I think what's happening is this is really the growing pains of us moving to this new way of working, and companies trying to figure out, how do we, is this something that's going to be permanent? Is it going to be 1 day, 2 day, 3 days in the office, remote? And that's what we're seeing, is companies grappling with how exactly do they work into the future. And I think what we're seeing is certainly it's not one size fits all. I think every job type, every organization, even within organizations, there's a different need for people. For some jobs, remote work is perfectly suited, and for others, you need face time. You need to be within the office. And I think it's all about flexibility. That's really what it's going to be about, is trying to create flexibility. And that's not just with the office space, but flexibility in how we organize ourselves, how we manage ourselves, and how we manage our staff. So there's a lot of learning going on within companies. And I guess it's just a growing pain. It's one of these normal things where circumstances and technology has just been has accelerated through COVID. It accelerated what was already a growing trend. And it's something that companies all grappling with, trying to manage this process into the future.
It's been very much a process of seeing where internationally this movement is going and how that impacts in a different workspace here in South Africa. In your opinion, from what you've seen, how is hybrid work really working in South Africa? Along with the fact that we're seeing more and more stories coming out of Europe, where more and more companies are also considering those 4-day work weeks. And of course, here on Twitter, everybody pounces on that, saying, "Oh, please, in the year 2023, can we try that here in South Africa as well?" How different is the South African workspace as opposed to those first world countries? And in your opinion, how is hybrid work going along and progressing here?
Well, I think South Africa is slightly different. wealthier countries, you find employees, their setup at home is a lot better than many employees within South Africa. We saw how many employees struggled. You had sort of, let's call it, the people in higher positions sitting in their office at home, very comfortable with the fiber. Remote work worked fantastically for them. You have other people working in difficult circumstances, trying to share space with the whole family, trying to work on a 3G device, and so our circumstances are different. And I think what's been amazing is how companies have navigated it extremely well in South Africa. But I tend to see is that hybrid work is definitely something that is being embraced by a lot of organizations. I think we've seen that there's productivity has been fairly high, and there hasn't been a loss of productivity. But I think we are going to be slightly different to Europe, where if you look at their rates of being out of the office, it's much higher than South Africa. South Africa, and within Africa itself, there's a desire to be in the office. We like to interact. We kind of socially more connected. So I do think the office is here to stay in South Africa, but without a doubt, there's going to be changes, and we're already seeing those changes. We've seen how companies are looking to reduce their footprint of area that they take. So I think the office is here to stay. It's just going to be different in how we utilize the office space. And we're seeing a higher spend on the square meterage within offices. So it's smaller footprint, higher quality. And there's also a desire for companies to look for offices which have got good amenities for their staff, and also looking for offices that have got a high sustainability rating, that are energy efficient, that's recycling. Those are the office spaces or buildings that are in higher demand. And I think that's where landlords need to start looking quite carefully at their real estate portfolio, is to maybe take the opportunity for B-grade buildings to be upgraded, to be more energy efficient. And with obviously load shedding, that's another factor that's starting to come in, because load shedding creates problems for people working remotely at home, and offices which have got proper backup, they offer that consistency of service for staff. So that's another factor that comes into play within our South African working landscape.
Sustainability seeming to be an issue all the way around. Thank you so much for your insight. Fascinating stuff there that we can all look forward to in terms of what your work life may or may not look like. That was Adrian Davidson, the EMEA head of design at Tetris Design and Build. We thank him for his time.